everybody. This is Dr. Alex Avila with Love University, and we're back. I'm an author, psychologist, and speaker. Every week we talk about how to love ourselves, others, and a higher nature, how to improve our finances, career, health, and spirituality. And today we have a very special guest. We have Megan Weks, who is a dating and relationship coach. She's a certified coach, author, and speaker. She helps successful, high-achieving women find their soulmate and lasting love. Her man funnel method has been featured on Forbes, Psychology Today, and Reader's Digest, and it helped her marry the soulmate of her life, Josh, within 1 year at age 35. Welcome, Megan, to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Avila.
Now, you have an interesting background. You worked in Wall Street in sales, and you're kind of applying the sales business model to finding your soulmate and dating. You call it the man funnel. And you talk about things like filling your man funnel, I guess, with men, right? You can date and going out 2 or 3 times a week, and kind of like an interesting model. Tell us a little bit about that. How does that work?
So it really helps a woman not to get a laser focus too soon. I see the number one pitfall with women who are out there is like they become excited about a man and they just throw out any other option out the window, and they get this strong focus before he's necessarily considering them for a serious relationship. Now, the problem with that is a woman can get very committed. We're designed to emotionally connect and be vulnerable and really latch on. Our species promotes this for, the survival of humans. Yes. And so the man funnel is a fun way for us to remember that it's important to explore your options and really build your criteria from a little bit of a distance while also bringing your heart out to play. I love your work so much because you're so focused on love and bringing yourself to this vibration of love. So I want to point out that the man funnel is not just a numbers game, but it is a reminder to explore, right? But the more you can do that with love in mind, okay, and becoming love, the less numbers you really need. And it all just comes, it just all falls into place.
I see what you're saying. So you're kind of combining a yin and yang element, the two sides of the thinking and feeling personality. And I wrote a book called Love Types, which is a bestseller with Myers-Briggs and compatibility. And then you talk about, the logical side of things and the emotional side. And some women actually have more logical in them, and some women have more feeling, and vice versa with men. Now, in terms of, you talk about the current linear model, which you say is a different approach, and women are feeling hopeless and helpless. Tell us about that. What is the linear model of dating?
The linear model is what women are doing. This is what I see them doing. They're just jumping in so quickly. And that's because in today's age, people are getting physically intimate so quickly. Yes. And then, of course, as women, when we orgasm, our oxytocin is flooded into our body and we become very attached. And it's almost impossible to keep your eyes open and explore. We also are losing a lot of the functionality of our frontal lobe. Yes. And we're not making clear decisions on men. We're sort of like latching on and hoping it will fall into place on the back end. Right. And we're also showing up within our persona, as you mentioned in one of your podcasts. We're showing up with this mask on, and then later the mask starts to dissolve, and then two people are like, wait a second, do we really love each other? Are we right for each other? In my work, the difference between the linear model and the man funnel model of dating is simply you're spending more time on the front end, really qualifying people to make sure that they're a good match.
Exactly. Now, you also have very interesting terminology. You kind of like use some kind of cool words. You talk about the excited man babble. You talk about the oxytocin cloud. And by the way, I work with Pat Allen. I don't know if you know Dr. Pat Allen, who's done a lot of work with oxytocin. She was on The Millionaire Matchmaker and other things like that. She's a very great lady. But the idea that, you get bonded when you make love, and also through physical affection, psychologically as a female, and also males do that. You talk about performance mode, exclusivity trap. You got a lot of cool words. So tell us, break that down for us. Tell us about that. What is that?
Sure. Well, the oxytocin cloud is what I was just mentioning, how it floods our body and we feel so attached, but we're doing that prematurely before we really know if a person is right. So I want you to to take steps, listeners who are out there, to actively be one step ahead of your human nature to attach early and really observe men and across something that we call here the exploratory phase. That's one of our little catchwords, which just is a reminder to watch a man, observe him over time before giving that, before diving in and giving that commitment. Now, excited man babble. Thank you for asking. Excited man babble is when, and this could be excited person babble, when a person is just, they're excited about you. So it doesn't mean it's inauthentic or they're playing you intentionally. They're just in that moment. They're feeling excited. They say nice things and they future talk like, oh, you also love so-and-so artist. We should see that exhibit in December, right?
It's kind of like the honeymoon stage where you have these amphetamine-like substances released in your brain. So you're in a cloud kind of thing.
Well, oftentimes I see this so much. A man is saying things about the future and then it gets her very excited. And then with that babble, the expectations rise. And then the problem is with that is that her expectation energy starts really kind of eroding the fun he was just having in the moment. And his words, like he gets a little ahead of himself and then he realizes he may have overcommitted. That's excited man babble.
Okay, right. Now, Maggie, you seem to you have a lot of joy in what you're doing. I can see from your laughter, you really love this stuff.
I do. It's wonderful. Dating, I have a whole new cohort.
Yes.
And one of the things that they said that they want to gather out of the work together is they want to have fun with dating.
Yes.
And now, so some of my clients who've been with me for a while, they were recently interviewed and they say, dating is actually fun with the man funnel. That's what I want for you all. It doesn't have to be so difficult out there.
Yes, definitely. Now, now you came from Wall Street. I guess you were a recruiter as well in the business world. I see that kind of more of a drier, logical kind of work. But were you joyful there too, or is this where your real joy is, or do you have a little bit of both?
Thank you for asking. I want to share that the reason I was so good at connecting hiring managers with candidates is because I could feel into certain energy. So even without necessarily doing personality tests on the candidates, which we did do sometimes depending on the requirements, I was talented at matching people based on the energy. And I bring energetic, intuitive work into everything I do, especially assisting clients in tapping into their own intuition and internal power. I know you talk about that a lot too.
Definitely, yeah. So you might be the intuitive feeler personality a little bit in the love types or Myers-Briggs. And that's kind of a spiritual component to it. And I see that in your some of your writings. You mentioned some of the great spiritual authors. Don Miguel Ruiz, of course, the Four Agreements. And I've collaborated with him a little bit. And he talks about, you said the judge, self-judge that we have, the regrets, in terms of making mistakes and the book of law, and how to basically change that mindset. And also Byron Katie, you talk about like asking questions. A woman, you mentioned that the guy just stops calling, and then she says, well, because of my personality, I pushed him away. And you ask yourself, is that really true? And if it wasn't true, how would I behave? So you kind of help people probe internally. So you do like inner work. Tell us about the inner work you do with these women.
So much of the inner work is the beginning of getting to know yourself. So we start with a process called dating yourself. And for most women, this is the first time they've really stopped and taken a look at their personal essence. What I mean by that is that it's your essence that is going to pull a man in, not just the things you love and things you do and who you are as a person, but it's how your own heart interacts with the stimuli in your world. Okay, so we help a woman to see that part of herself and to dissect it so she becomes so much more interesting and magnetic in the presence of a man. A man is what really pulls him to you is not just who you are. So I have so many women are like, I'm the full package. How come this isn't coming together? Well, that's only part of it. So much is how another individual feels in your presence. And there's so many little blocks and kind of like negative defaults of the brain and your natural conditioning that we work to toward,
Yes.
which bring a person closer to being that vibration of love.
Very nice. So you are combining a lot of interesting elements. You got the business side, you got the psychological side. I think you said you have a degree in psychology and spiritual. And you also talk about neuroplasticity, being able to change your brain through behaviors and change your mindsets. So that's a very powerful kind of blend of things. And I like when you talk about self-analysis. Now, apparently there's a lot of regret going on among these women you work with. I drove them away. I said the wrong thing. And they keep thinking about if it's the right, who they think is the right guy. And you talk about some things they need to ask themselves. For example, do I bleed masculinity? Am I too guarded and attract emotionally unavailable men? Am I too sensitive and become overly maybe drama-ish kind of person? And I'm not worth it. So tell us, break those down, those 4 elements. How does that maybe drive men away if women do that?
Well, it's interesting you bring this up because in my work, it's never easy to look under the hood, right?
Right. Of course.
So women really have to be very strong in order to do this work because there's so much inner reflection. And I don't want you to feel like wrong, okay? I just want you to know that these things are part of the human condition. And the more awareness we have about how we function in the world, the more we can course correct and realize that we're not changing you. We're bringing you closer to your full authenticity.
Yes.
Because you mentioned performance mode, which is what, like, let's say drama, or you mentioned there's a lot of certain ways we're showing up. Now, performance mode is when we're not intentionally showing off, or we're taking that part of our persona that we created that we think is more lovable, and we are behaving in a certain way without realizing that we're doing this intentionally. Okay. And so
let me backtrack here. So performance mode, is that an unconscious intent to impress, or is that a natural, authentic part of you? What do you mean by performance mode?
Performance mode is your persona showing up and performing. Some of it is conscious, and some of it is like your subconscious driving you to behave this way. Until you're aware, I think much of your behaviors are driven by your subconscious, right? So my work is to help you become aware of those things that you may be doing in the presence of a man that's really blocking the connection, and to show you how to emotionally integrate within your body and bring love within, to actually intentionally increase the warmth and quality of the coding in your electromagnetic field. To, again, it all brings us back to love.
I see. Now, you talk about bleed masculinity. Now, we had John Gray on the show. You may have heard of his recent work on testosterone and estrogen with male and females, and how some women may develop more of this so-called masculine energy, or female, men can develop feminine energy, which can be good, but then it can be overly done. So, what's your take on that? Is there more masculinity in females today versus before, or is that good or bad? What's your feeling?
In our quest for equality and independence and power as women who are achieving this in obviously many fields, we are conditioned, and we must learn to thrive in our masculine energy to be analytical and get the tasks done. And then we're receiving accolades for this push type of energy. And so then women feel like, ooh, I've gotten so much success from utilizing my masculine energy, even though they don't know that's what it's called.
Yes.
They think it's a transferable skill, and they're bringing it into their relationships with masculine energy men. That is when there's a butting of heads.
The yang-yang combination.
And the lack of polarity. Now, initially it may not be an issue, but within that working organism of the relationship, as it's running the household as a business, yes, everybody needs to function in their masculine and feminine energies. But if we're not aware as the woman who's seeking this high caliber man who has a lot of masculine energy, that's what these successful women want, but they don't know how to pair with one and promote really good feelings within that relationship.
Okay. So you're coaching then in terms of a lot of internal awareness of, their energies, like you said, the yin and yang, blends. But sometimes you may have a masculine energy female with a feminine energy male, but they respect each other's style, and it could work. So a lot of that could be, how to appreciate and understand the person. Or like you said, they're looking for also a masculine energy male. So they need to know how to blend that. The other thing is you talk about guardedness and how guardedness can attract emotionally unavailable men, I guess in some way. So how do you get women out of that trap?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your take on this too. Women don't realize that the symptom of their guardedness is causing probably most of their issues while they're trying to attract people online and then further the relationship. Because when your heart is hidden, you are a safe option for a man who is scared of intimacy. So he's targeting you. And it also becomes like if you're out in public and you have this, micro expressions are one of the first things that other people are reading. And of course, studies show, recent Princeton studies are showing that people can make accurate assessments of other people within 1/10 of a second at this point. So they're looking at your micro expressions. Now, if he can see that you are guarded in your expressions, which he absolutely can read, he has a literal radar for this, it can become sport for him to want to kind of win you over. And then once he does, that game for him is not interesting anymore. If your heart is open, then you will start to attract men who also have a healthy heart that is ready to love. So your question is, how do we get there? The number one way that we can help you to unguard your heart is giving you tools that protect your heart. This can start with boundaries and just general knowledge. We teach so much practical knowledge at the Man Funnel. Once you see what works out there with men or within dating, you can allow your heart to emerge. You don't have to hide it under so much armor anymore because you have the tools to safely navigate relationships. And this is one way that we naturally help you to liberate your heart. And only then, when two hearts are unguarded and liberated, can they fuse together as one for a forever bond.
Wow, I like that. Very beautifully said. It's a spiritual, connection. So I guess if you elevate yourself spiritually or in some way that way psychologically, you can also attract someone at that level that also has that same, openness, as you say, and trust. But, you think of the feeling personality, they could be more vulnerable because there are emotional people. But sometimes they're closet feelers. They hide the feelings inside. I think you're talking about those, maybe some of those people. And they have the tough exterior shell, but it's self-protectiveness because they've been hurt in the past. But you're saying go beyond the scar and go, open up a little bit and open up to the others is the beautiful part. Now, the other thing is the idea of the drama queen personality, like someone who doesn't know how to express their feelings and they explode. We call it histrionic, perhaps in psychology, overly emotional. And you have drama kings as well. So that could be a problem, I guess, a turn off as well. How do you help women with that part of it to express them feelings in a certain way that doesn't overwhelm? Because say the male or the person they're with.
We're not conditioned to express feelings. We don't know how to. Most of us aren't really taught, and many women are taught that men don't like emotions. Okay, so then we don't say anything. We don't express how we feel. We don't share what's harming us.
It builds up.
It comes out sideways in drama.
Yes. Okay,
dramatic acts or reactivity is like taking a can of man repellent and spraying it.
Okay. So he's not going to babble anymore when you do that. The babbling stops. Huh?
No, exactly.
The exciting stuff stops. Yeah, okay.
Love it. So what we do is we help them to become emotionally integrated and learn how to express from a very primal place where a man can hear and just feel. Okay. So from your emotional body to his emotional body, you can have the most authentic conversation. And this helps you with not only deepening the connection with him, but then ultimately through conflict resolution and beyond. So it's a process. We teach them a whole new language of communication. Right. Now, the analytical women who are so commonly my clients, and that's because they are stuck in their head. Right. They don't have the skills of how to function from down below, from their heart and other areas of their body. Yeah. And they're unable, that makes them guarded, and they're attracting men who are guarded, and it's fizzling out for the reasons we've mentioned before.
Interesting. So you're probably combining like therapeutic techniques like empathetic listening, affirmation, even like meditation or timeouts, taking time to reduce the amygdala, the over emotional response. So those are very powerful techniques, the psychological side. So you do a lot of work, inner work, which I think is really powerful. But then you also do outer strategies. I see that you do actually specific things that women can do to get out there and meet the right men. Now you talk about get the high caliber man hooked on you and fall madly in love. So when I'm thinking of this, when I hear the word high caliber, I'm trying to figure out, how do you define that? I mean, is this a guy that's rich, handsome, and famous, or is he sweet, kind, and gentle? How do you define high caliber?
I like leaving that undefined.
For the woman, each woman has an individual component.
Yes. Although these men who are successful and my successful women want a man like that,
Okay.
Ultimately, there's certain things that are driving an individual toward success, right? And
Okay.
it's oftentimes he's conditioned this way, or he's perhaps lacking attention or love from a primary caregiver. And so he's set to strive for the rest of his life.
Okay.
And he may have more space between his ego and his heart. And so I am skilled at helping women attract these kind of men. Now that is for various reasons, but the feminine energy is going to be critically important there.
Okay. So let me get a picture. I mean, if you can use just a few words to describe this high caliber man, would it be ambitious? Would it be kind? I mean, are we looking at some inner elements? What would be 3 or 4 words that we could use for that?
Kindness is incredibly important, and I want women to seek, I use this word a lot,
Yes.
okay? Wholesome, okay? Because if we're just out there looking for this sexy, successful, intelligent man, which the women all want, we've got to pair that with a man who can stand the test of time. So he would be commitment oriented, kind, and wholesome, right? And they can fill in the blanks with what else they're looking for, but we're always striving for a man who's ready to really partner, share his heart, be a true partner. So the relationship that they find through our work is their final relationship.
Okay. How about wholesome, sexy, successful, and loyal? Would that work for the most ladies?
That's lovely.
Okay, so you have a little bit of everything, right? The different combinations. Now, for these high caliber guys you're talking about, there are certain elements the woman has to develop, I guess, or have. You talk about being approachable, magnetic, being high value, and also authentically hard to get. So I'm kind of wondering, the authentically hard to get is an interesting term because, you remember the old books like The Rules and all that, where they say, don't call him, let him call you and so forth. And, play kind of hard to get, which kind of does attract people in a certain sense, but then it may be inauthentic. So what does that mean, authentically hard to get?
Authentically hard to get means you're not playing hard to get. You are so keenly aware of your criteria and what's going to truly make you happy that you are holding an exploratory phase for some time, exploring the man, and really considering if this is going to be a wonderful partner for life. Now, you cannot determine that in 2 dates. Of course, you can have an intuitive feeling.
Yes.
The problem with that is women can't determine what's their intuition or what's that electric feeling of chemistry that may be pushing them toward attraction, of course, attachment, that makes them feel in their bones like, ooh, this man is right for me. Our bodies are designed to push us toward feeling like a certain man is right for us. And that's why I mentioned earlier that we help you get a step ahead of your humanness in that regard to make a clear choice. And when you're doing this, you become naturally harder to get. You do become something that a man has to put effort in and take time to get to know you because you're not falling in his lap
Right.
in 1, 2, 3 dates as what's happening now in linear dating.
I see what you're saying. So I guess you talk about kind of a blend. You have an idea of balance. So if you're too hard to get, that wouldn't work either. So you also talk about being approachable and magnetic. So how does a woman do that? I mean, she can smile and, this and that, but what are some of the tips for her to be approachable and magnetic so that men can be very shy at times, and they can also pull back. So how does she do that, be magnetic?
It's our job as the feminine energy partner to come into that situation or date with our unzipped heart. So what we do is we allow our heart to come out to play without handing it over on,
okay.
on a silver
That's kind of
platter.
cool. Hard to play. Okay. And how does that look like, for example? Let's say, give me a real hypothetical. So they're on a date in Manhattan. So what does that look like?
Sure. Well, oftentimes a woman is coming and feeling guarded, and she's got a lot of tension in her body. Her shoulders are up,
Yes.
and she's waiting for a sign from the man to say something like, "Ooh, you're so pretty," or "Ooh, I really like that about you." She's waiting for a sign that he likes her
Right.
to then soften.
Ah.
Okay? Now, this is not productive.
Mm.
I don't want you to wait for external feedback to feel to gain approval to start letting your magic out.
Right.
I want you to show up with your magic out in order to help him unzip his heart, because only when two hearts are unzipped can they start to form that beginning of a bond or that spark. So there are many ways that we help them do this, and I'm happy to continue, but that is just one really big tip, that if you don't take anything else away and you're out there dating with having difficulty, is to bring your warmth, your curiosity, and unzip your heart in front of a man in order to foster connection. Now, oftentimes women have a hard time doing this because they don't feel attracted to him yet. That's another thing. So they're cold and closed off. I want you to allow yourself to be surprised and come with curiosity and softness and get to know this human who's sitting in front of you, this human with a heart.
I like that stuff. Yeah. So kind of like matching and mirroring. The mirror neurons. People kind of imitate what they see in the other person. So if she's kind of cold and detached, he'll be possibly the same. But you're saying to open yourself up, and then he might respond as well with more openness and, like you said, the heart, and that could be a real connection. But it's kind of scary though in the beginning. I guess it's fearful for some women to do that. They've been hurt in the past. So I'm sure you help them get over that kind of fear, where they're starting anew, right? It's a whole new experience each time that it's fresh, as opposed to thinking of the past. So yeah, that's pretty powerful. And the other idea of being a high value person, you talk about not chasing, putting realistic boundaries and things like that. So tell me about that. A high value woman. What is that like?
A high value woman is a woman who's taken the time to learn about herself and what truly works, what will not work for her. And again, she's taking the time to respect her heart, to respect herself.
Yes.
By taking this time to learn about herself and about the person in front of her, or the options that are in her field. Now, a high value woman has learned how to thrive from her heart space. She's learned to connect with the feelings inside, the emotions that trigger us and can be this natural guiding light for our life. You talk a lot about making decisions from your intuitive place inside and how that guides us in our lives.
Right.
Okay? A high value woman is someone who is connected in this way and can really feel into what is the correct path. Who is the correct man? Who is right for me? What is right for my life?
Yes, definitely. And I think I know you like to. You like to pray a lot? Are you a very spiritual?
I'm a certified yogin.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. So
when I feel a lot of love and heart energy, I just naturally do this.
Namaste, right? Namaste, I guess is peace. Or actually, Bhakti and the path of love in the Eastern philosophy, and also Karuna, compassion. So those are important elements. I see that you kind of have an Eastern maybe approach in some ways, because you're looking at the balance of things, neither one way or the other. Because you talk about nurturing, and I think you even said that you're a nurturer, and you maybe over-nurtured some men in the past, which may push them away because they want to show value, right? They want to show their value to you, and you're doing that to them. But also, you don't want to under-nurture as well. So so where's that balance come from? How does a woman find that?
The woman who can balance her masculine and feminine energy is the fully actualized woman.
Yes.
It's counterintuitive, but nurturing is masculine energy. So it is a doing action.
Yes.
So as we learn how to balance our masculine and feminine energy, it becomes an intuitive thing that we have to practice out there to understand. So that's why I want you to have a man funnel, or you can look at it as friends who you are exploring their values and how you feel around them for future potential romance. And the women who come through this work, this isn't something that you just learn or watch one video and you get it. You have to practice it out in the world. So I joke that it's good that I have 2 dogs, because I over nurture them, I squeeze them, I whisper sweet little nothings into their ears, I kiss them like half the day.
What kind of dogs do you have, by the way?
I have 2 red poodles, a 70-pound one and a 17-pound one.
Wow.
And they are the epitome of love, right? They just walk around in the highest vibration of love, and a lot can be learned from them.
Yes, definitely. Dogs do have that unconditional love, the agape. Or we call it extend loving energy without expectation. But in adult relationships, it's kind of hard sometimes to have that. Usually, between parent and child, young child, you see that. But then adults, they start becoming conditional. So that's a whole different process. But in terms of the spiritual side of things, you do talk a lot about that. And also the idea of, you said, find the sweet spot and know when to lean back. Now, when you're leaning back, what does that mean exactly in the relationship?
There is a sacred, energetic space between you and the person that you're exploring for a relationship with. Now, you've probably experienced this when, let's say, you finally got over a man that was weighing on your heart and you shifted to maybe another love interest, or you shifted to something in your life, and boom, that's the moment he calls you, because there's a release. There's expectation energy that can weigh on that person who's in that energy bubble with you.
Yes.
And when we don't have awareness of this and we start pushing, using our masculine energy to further a relationship, it takes away the space that he needs to come toward you. When you start getting a feel of how these energetics work, you can really feel when you're leaning in to that energy bubble and taking up too much space, or when you may need to allow him to absorb and actually allow his testosterone to flood in again. Because being with a feminine energy woman, and when he's in that energy space for a while, it can drain his testosterone, or aka maybe his masculinity a bit. So sometimes he needs to lean back to just recharge. And when we have awareness of this, and we realize that a man does like to have work, he likes to put in effort, and he needs the tension of that. He needs tension to be there for him to be able to have the opportunity to make efforts. And this is part of how he falls, especially these high caliber men who we're mentioning.
Okay, very good. Now, Megan, I'd like to do a little reversal with you right now, because I know you work a lot with women, but I have a very interesting case here. I have Reggie, my producer. Reggie, can you come here? I want you to give him a hand here in the dating world. Reggie, go ahead and say hi to our great coach, Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Hey, Reggie.
Reggie's a very nice guy, but he's very shy, and actually he's never really had a real relationship. And I have a bet with him where I'm going to pay for his date, $100 if he can find a gal to go out with. But he actually hasn't done it. It's been a while, a couple of years. So can you give us some advice on that to help him find that soulmate as a man? And he's the so-called nice guy. He's always in the friend zone. So he meets a woman, and either she has a boyfriend or maybe they become friends, and then it doesn't work out. Is that the way it works, Reggie?
Traditionally, yeah, but remember you said about the balance, like the date or whatever. So I did get the date. Remember, I didn't go to a relationship, but I did go on the $100 date.
Okay. Oh, you got the date. Okay, but it didn't go further. Okay.
Right? Yeah.
All right. So how do we help him go further, Megan, to really find a good woman for him?
Reggie, what's your perception of what might be amiss here in your romantic world?
Well, traditionally, we talked about this before on the show, is that I kind of just kind of going with the mindset of I need this to happen, be kind of desperate, and self-conscious or whatever, and that the girls I'm interacting with, they pick up on that, and so we've been trying to work on that,
Okay. So he has a desperate energy, I guess, to win a soulmate. How do you help him with that?
So we would work from the inside out and the outside in. So the first thing that we would do is we would work face to face like we are now, and we can do some date simulations where it can really help you to increase.
Let's try it right now. Okay, how would you do that? Let's say she's you see her in a coffee shop. What would you say to her?
Okay. So, hi, hello. How are you doing today?
Okay, great start. Now, what we want to first do is we want to build like this energetic resonance within our body. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is like imagine the woman in front of you, and first just tap into how that makes you feel. There's a pretty woman and you want to connect with her, and she's now in front of you in the coffee shop. What are you feeling in your body right now?
A little nervous, yeah, a little nervous, but I'm excited too.
Beautiful. And where do you feel that manifestation of nerves inside your body?
I'm in my chest.
Okay, so let's just take a moment. We want to set intention and we want to prepare for approaching the woman. And you would do the same thing before a date. So like, I can tap into that nerves that you're feeling in my chest too. And we're both going to breathe into it. And we can all three do this together. So let's just breathe in and bring that life force energy or that prana. It's like a beautiful, nourishing, I like to visualize it as like a golden liquid that I'm bringing in. So let's all bring that into our chest. And as we release it, okay, Reggie, I want you to just allow your body to melt to a deeper level as you release the air. Let out anything that you don't need, anything that's not serving you. And then what I would want you to do preferably is practice this on your own and do 10 rounds, but right in the coffee shop, if you're very well practiced at this, you can do one magical breath and release the chest. Let your shoulders drop. Now, even though we're taking ourselves to a deeper state of relaxation, you as the masculine energy man, you are going to build up your body, okay? So get on your sits bones, okay? We can pretend we're on our feet, and I want you to take up more space. Confident people take up more space. Now, now I want your voice to start coming from down below, because when you approached me and you said hi, it was coming from a headspace of nerves.
It sounds like a cartoon character. Right? Okay, so go.
So let's all try this again. So now that we have built a softer like resonance for the energy to really flow back and forth, okay? Now I want you, one more step is here's how we're going to grow a little bit of charisma. We intentionally grow our ball of love inside of our body, which means we're going to start growing love and gratitude and appreciation for the person we're about to meet. Let's like feel it growing in our belly or even our heart. Chest would be good for you since that's where you feel tightness. Intentionally bring in so much love for this person, unconditional love, no matter what is going to happen. Every no that you receive, Reggie, makes you just one step closer to a yes, okay? Good old Tom Hopkins. So I want you to realize that this is an opportunity for you. I want you to go out there and get rejected as much as humanly possible.
Okay, let's try it right now, Reggie. Okay, go with that deep voice. Okay, take the deep breath. Okay.
Now you're going to approach me with this energy and this deeper voice. Now go ahead and reapproach me.
Yes.
Hi, hello. How are you?
Ooh, I felt that.
He's a macho man. I like that, Reggie. Okay, you got the energy. How do you feel?
I feel great. Yeah, way more confident.
So you got gold inside your belly now.
Right? Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So would you want to go out to the coffee shop later today and try it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So Megan, how often should he practice these techniques to get him to the higher state that you're talking about of confidence?
Look, we need to be practicing frequently. If you're visualizing yourself approaching these women, if you're tapped into what you bring to the table in your relationship, if you're increasing your numbers and again doing the inner work at the same time, you're going to see results out there.
Right. So you're gonna have a lady funnel pretty soon, right? You're gonna get out there and practice it.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, say thanks to Megan for the help.
Right, of course.
By the way, do you like his beard? Some people say he should shave it, but what do you think? Should he keep the beard?
When we say working from the outside in and the inside out, I do think that working with a professional image consultant, we have an in-house man funnel stylist who I did an event with last night.
Okay.
look, men are visual creatures, but women are too. Reggie, don't overlook the importance
Yes.
of updating your look and how you're presenting yourself energetically and externally.
Right.
Okay.
It's going to be a makeover. We're going to New York City. Yeah. Okay. Say thanks to
All right,
Megan.
thank you, Megan.
All right. That was great, Megan. So you really put it into practice. And I don't know. You don't work with men, I know, or do you work with men?
I do. We work with specific
Oh.
commitment-oriented men on a private basis.
Oh, okay. Very good. Okay. So you do have a little bit of that knowledge of the male ego and psyche.
Oh, yeah.
But that was wonderful what you did, because you started from the inside. You know, most people say, say this, say that, or that kind of thing. But you wanted him to have the energy first and the innerness.
Confidence, faked confidence is when we just do the external, but
Yes.
real authentic confidence
Yes.
is when we feel it on the inside and we're tapped into our inner messages.
I like that. Yeah. So I've talked to a lot of dating coaches, but you're one of the most kind of comprehensive, because you go a lot with the spiritual and the inner, and also the outer too. So you have the business and sales background, which is kind of a pretty cool combination to have the the inner and the outer at the same time. So it's wonderful to have you on the show. I mean, this is really very very enjoyable and enlightening. And I'd love to have you back on again, and perhaps we could do something together. Either do you ever get out to LA much, or California?
I do. I may be coming out within the next couple weeks.
Okay, yeah, maybe we can meet and maybe create a seminar or something kind of cool for people in California or New York. Are you guys able to do things now, or no, live?
We absolutely are. I had 2 speaking engagements in New York City this week so far,
okay.
and I'd love to speak to you again and tell you more about some of the exciting projects. And
Definitely. Yes, it's been a while. So when
where-
Love Types came out, I went out there and did some tours. So where can people hear about you, Megan? I know you have a lot of stuff to offer. Tell us, do you have coaching, books? Tell us about your programs.
Sure, we have high level program where we work with women on my signature process across 6 months, and that's in a group format. And why that is so powerful, the accountability and the magic and the love in the group and the practicing shared vulnerability goes so far. And when you're within a group, you get answers to questions you didn't even know you had. And of course, we do private. And if you just want to gather information, you can go to themanfunnel.com to the blog. You can pop into the Man Funnel Facebook group, or you can follow the Man Funnel on Instagram or TikTok.
Okay, excellent. So the Man Funnel, it's, how do you spell funnel for those that don't know?
Funnel, Funnel.
Okay,
so
perfect.
it's one word, Man's Funnel.
Perfect. Okay, and you have books. You got books or tapes or things like that for people.
The book, we have ebooks and such. The Man Funnel book is coming out this year,
Excellent.
so you can look forward to that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Fantastic. So again, it's wonderful because love really is the ultimate elixir, for happiness. And in our times today, people are stuck at home many times. There's a virus, a lot of uncertainty, but when you have love, things change in your life, right? There's a happiness, there's a consistency in who you are. And our process here is to love ourselves, others, and a higher nature. It seems like you're working with people to do that. But what if people don't have a higher nature? What if they say I'm atheist or I don't have a spiritual background? How do you work with them in that way?
Well, atheism just might mean that they don't believe that there's a singular God. My belief is that there's too many different hypotheses for too many different religions for those gods to be accurate. So my sense of a higher power is these energetic dynamics. There are absolutely energetic laws that we follow in my work that we know to be true, as I mentioned about the energy bubble or that sacred space that we've all felt, right? So rather we tap into that, and when you learn to function in the higher vibration of love, there is magic, and the universe unfolds for you. When women are tapped into their feminine energy, it's that same magic, and men simply come out of the woodwork.
I like that. Yeah, because love is the ultimate spirituality. And you mentioned gratitude with Reggie, and gratitude is very powerful. Grateful for the person, the human being in front of you, and the spirit. So, Love University students, I'd love to have you check out her work here. Megan's doing amazing things, and she works nationwide, maybe worldwide, I imagine. You can reach us at 310-226-8090. Visit us at loveuniversity.love. Write to us at loveuniversitylove@gmail.com. So again, Megan, it's been wonderful to have you on the show. So keep the love energy work going and helping people find their soulmate all throughout the world.
Thank you so much for having me.
Until next time, this is Dr. Alex Avila with Love University, and go out and have a loving spiritual week. That was a great interview we had with Megan Weks, a dating and relationship coach out of New York City that helps high-powered women find their soulmates. But it's more than just finding your soulmate. It's really finding your inner soulmate, finding your inner love. She said dating yourself, also being spiritually connected to yourself and being authentic. And that's the power. So Love University, we talk about loving yourself, and that's where it all begins. Not in an egotistical way or a selfish way, but in a way that you want to give more love to others by taking care of yourself, by having worthiness within yourself. So this is Dr. Alex Avila. If you want to contact us, you can reach us at loveuniversity.love, loveuniversitylove@gmail.com. Call us at 310-226-8090 if you want to be on the show, if you have a show question, any ideas for guests. You can also like us on Facebook at Love University Podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Love Podcast. We also have a sister podcast we've just started called Invincible You, where we talk more about inner empowerment, the mind of riches, and other aspects of being the best person you can possibly be, your highest potential. Follow us on Twitter at InvincibleU_, and follow us on Instagram at InvincibleUOfficial. So until next time, you can also subscribe to us on Podbean, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes for both Love University and the new podcast, Invincible You. So Dr. Alex Avila, go out this week and find your inner core nature of love, loving yourself, and go out and resonate with other people. Be grateful for being in their presence, and you might be able to discover that ideal person and find your soulmate. Until next time, this is Dr. Alex Avila with Love University.